What is up, Retromaniacs? Welcome to the Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name is Retro Baby, and I am from Mike's Retro Trading Cards. And I'm joined by two guys who thought it would be a fantastic idea to embarrass me by wearing the same Mike's Retro Trading Cards t-shirt to walk around the local card show yesterday. Yes, they are Joe Day and EP Eric Pahowick. I'm not even going to ask how you're doing.
I'm not doing great after last night. We had a couple of beers after the show.
We had a couple of growlers, dude.
We had a couple of growlers after the show. 3 to be exact. There were several beers in each growler, and we kicked 3 of them. So yeah, I'm feeling great. And I would crack open a beer. I actually brought one, but I have to drive 4 hours after this.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Wait until later. Maybe when you get home.
Yeah, maybe.
I got you, Joe.
You got my back?
Yeah.
Crack me one. There we go. Fantastic.
Yeah. So as we talked about last week, we were all headed to the local Susquehanna Valley Mall card show. And boy, did we make our presence known with our matching t-shirts. Come on.
So I got to set this up. So Mike specifically said, he specifically said, we cannot all wear our t-shirts. We're going to look like a bunch of weirdos, right? Which, fair, right?
Yep.
So as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh, we're going to find a way to all wear our t-shirts. So he texted us that morning and said, guys, none of you are wearing your t-shirts, right? Because I'm going to wear mine. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even bring mine into Danville. And EP's like, yeah, I won't wear mine. I'm texting EP on the side going, wear yours and put a shirt over top of it. We get to the mall and I go, man, it's getting warm out here. I might have to take off this overshirt. And I had mine on, and then EP took off his.
Yep, my t-shirt.
Yep. And there we were, like a bunch of 3 weirdos walking through like a 10-table card show. Like we are all that. It was fantastic. So we did get recognized, Mike. We did get recognized.
We did, yes. We found one of our few Spotify audio podcast listeners. So shout out to him. Like that was pretty awesome. Like, what are the chances of, like we have more listeners on the audio version on Apple Podcasts, but Spotify we just don't. I mean, we don't do anything to promote this audio podcast. We do both the video and audio version of it, but yeah, to randomly run into one was kind of funny. But yeah,
and he pulled out his phone to prove like we needed any proof. We're like, no, we're good.
They were all played too, right? Like they showed.
Yeah, he listened to all of them. I'm fine if you're lying about it. Like either way, I'm good. But yeah, just so everybody knows, I'm not mad at these two. I'm mad at myself because I have known these two guys, who are they, that guy and that guy, long enough that I should have known better. What kind of an idiot am I? Like, and whoever called us 3 Stooges on Dustin's video, he's totally right.
Oh yeah,
you nailed that.
That is on purpose. That is what we are. That's who we are.
Absolutely.
I drove over to Mike's house to meet him, and we were going to pick up EP. And I get out of my car and I look into I just turn and I see my reflection and I'm like, oh shit, you can see the top of the mic. So I had to button another button. I had like my buttons up to here. I don't know how that wasn't a red flag, but I made sure I buttoned them up.
That I really care. Like, what's Joe wearing today? Oh, that's a nice outfit, Joe. Like, have you ever heard that from me?
No, that's true.
The only time you've ever heard anything about your clothes was when you wore like the salmon colored golf shorts when we were playing golf.
I still have salmon colored golf shorts. So
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. So yeah, other than that, we actually had quite a bit of success at the show there. For once, I did not leave with a trunk full of junk, which is my thing, but not this time. Although the very first people that were set up in there, like, sold me a box full of junk that I really didn't need and might not even be worth what I paid for it. But I bought it anyway. But I wanted to concentrate a little more on looking for, specific cards, stuff from the 90s and early 2000s. And we stopped at the one gentleman's table there, and wow, he had a ton of stuff. like just in boxes, like not in cases and everything. He had some greatest stuff out there. A lot of Penn State stuff, I think.
Too much Penn State stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap!
More than one is too much Penn State stuff.
Yeah.
No offense to Penn State fans, but.
Well, I was talking to the guy about that stuff, and he said that he specifically does that at the show because he knows that there are Penn State people here and that Pitt people, and he'll do that for them.
Yeah.
And he was saying that he comes from Selinsgrove, and he actually lives in Selinsgrove, which is just less than. He said he can stop at Dunkin' Donuts and still make it to the show in like 2 minutes as long as his car's loaded. Like that's how quickly he can get there. So yeah, and he's like he said that he goes through like he's just constantly working on the cars. Like that's kind of I don't think that's his day job. It's not his full-time job, but on weekends, he's at a card show somewhere.
Well, I guarantee you, he went home from that show yesterday glad that these three guys came there. Because I mean, he had great stuff, but like I bought a lot of game used and some autograph stuff out of late 90s, early 2000s products. I got some really low numbered, like numbered to 25 of the memorabilia cards when they were actually game used.
And they were game used.
And, got an autograph of Herman Moore. Like Herman Moore, I'm sure, first of all, that card, I'm not worth a lot of money, but Herman Moore was a great wide receiver. And those autographs.
First round pick in our fantasy football first ever draft. That's how good he was.
They're on-card autographs. Like, I'm really kind of surprised the autographic set really hasn't, caught fire at this point, because that's really one of the gems of that era, I think, as far as autograph cards. But yeah, he even said to us, he was happy because nobody ever buys the stuff we were buying. And like, he complimented our eye on some of the stuff. It's like I bought some no-name wild card basketball striped cards. I think I had either 20 stripe and 100 stripe or something like that. And he specifically pointed those out. He's like, oh, wow, good eye on those. I'm like, yeah, I usually buy those, when I find them. But yeah, he was very happy, though, to sell the stuff he sold. And I was very happy with the prices he gave us. I will definitely be back to his table next show.
Yeah. So he had everything broken up. We're waxing poetic about this one guy, but there was a lot of cool stuff set up. But he had all his stuff broken down into like, he had NFL teams, he had college teams, like they were all marked out. And Mike actually yelled over to me. He's like, he has Pitt stuff over here. So I walked over and I bought like $30 worth of Pitt players in their Pitt uniforms, a Shady autograph, Kevin Barlow, for those of you who remember him from the Niners, Antonio Bryant, former Biletnikoff winner, Antonio Bryant, and something that he probably can say and no one else in the world can say, he sold a Tom Savage RPA. Like, what? Who else in the world yesterday sold a Tom Savage RPA? No one. So yeah, I picked that up.
And if anybody has Panini points that they would like to give to Joe in exchange for that Tom Savage card,
that's at least 10,000 Panini
10,000?
points.
Okay, I was going to ask how much. All right. So if you have 10,000 Panini points, just hit Joe up. He'll make sure to get back to you and do a deal on that Tom Savage. Probably cheaper than what Panini's asking for.
That's probably true. I forget how much mine cost me.
Poor Tom Savage. We really need to have him on the show.
I was trying to find him on like Cameo or something. That would have been fantastic. He's not important enough to have a cameo, which is, that makes sense. But
he is to me.
Yeah, to the whole show.
to the show, yeah.
So the whole show. Now, I do want to say the best part of the show for me was, I don't know if the viewers know this, but we created a 3-card set of the Mike's Retro Trading Cards, or Mike's Retro Trading Cards podcast. We have a 3-card set. We had prepared, we had made. And each pack, you get a metal card. EP pulled my metal card. And I just want to tell you how great this community is. EP came up to me yesterday and gave me my metal card. So, Mike, if you want to throw me up on the big screen, that was great of EP. I really do appreciate it. This is the 1999 molten metal variation. We've got the Brock Heward Joe Day metal card, autographed.
Wow.
So, I mean, EP, I know you wanted to keep this.
I love 101s. Like auto 101s are, amazing. Like I can't. you know,
But-
what am I going to do?
but
I can't.
that's
I
how
can't,
great this
in good
community is.
conscience keep it. You know.
Yeah. So if I pull yours, EP, I got your back, brother. I got
Right,
your
thanks,
back.
man. Thank
So,
you.
but yeah, I already had it authenticated. Okay, it came back from eBay, authenticated. It's beautiful. It is the Brockeward variation. I am looking currently for the Donovan McNabb variation of Joe Day. Okay, it's signed in green. So if anyone out there, if the three of us pull that, it's
Okay.
mine. All right.
Right.
So
Well, any of the
thank you,
viewers,
EP.
like, if any of the viewers pull it,
Any of the viewers pull that, I would really appreciate you getting that to me. That's probably my favorite. And then the Rob Conrad orange variation signature metal card. So please, viewers, look out for those. I'd appreciate it.
We have fun here. We just like to poke a little fun. It's just
Poke a little
all-
fun.
it's
Just a
all-
little
it's
harmless
all in
fun.
good fun. Good
Harmless fun.
Absolutely. But we should have really cultivated a community here at Mike's Retro
We
Trading Cards.
really
It's
did cultivate it.
amazing, you know, and for you two heads at the table to be able to get together like that and like lead by example for the whole
That's
community.
really what
Like
we need
you
to
guys are the pillar of this Mike's Retro Trading Cards community, right?
do. We try to be. We try to be. For those of you going out there looking for Mike's Retro Trading cards, that was a bit. We don't. We didn't actually make those. We're not that big of a deal yet.
The three people that are going to go out there and try to find them, like,
I think
We're actually on
I think you're overselling us a little bit.
And the poor people listening on the podcast, that was a Brockeward metal card that I slapped a picture of me on.
That picture is
autographed it.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Put
it was
that
great,
back up
dude.
there,
You
though.
like that
so good.
picture?
That's so good.
Picture
It's
is
so
so
perfect.
good.
In
Like,
my pit hat with the shades.
Like,
Oh, it's fantastic.
that has to be a card. How can we need to make that a card?
Right?
If
And the
you
autograph.
guys, if anybody watching this wants that Joe Day card made into a custom card,
If
so
you let us know.
you can get them. Maybe we could get some made and give them away.
That's possible.
Because, you know, I'm not going to try to sell this.
And it is hashtag MRTC. It's inscribed.
Wow.
You know?
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's big. That's what makes it the 101 that you can see right there. You know,
Right,
so
right. You better
You
put that
really-
on your shelf above you in your studio.
maybe I'll put it in different spots in my studio, my recording space. Just put it, move it around, see if anyone notices.
You might want to make it your Twitter profile pic, too. So, oh,
yeah, I
we
also
like to
did.
have
We got
fun.
some cool stuff from that dealer. I Paul Shear jersey, like memorabilia card or whatever from Allen and Ginter from like 2010. I think it was.
From the
So,
league.
Yeah. So I mean, just like some really cool stuff. That was the one where he said, "You guys are one of the ones where he said, hey, you guys are picking out some stuff that has just sat in my boxes
You're
for
lucky you
years."
found that before me, because I probably would have scooped that up too. So good
Yeah.
pickup.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll have to
that
do it
was a
again.
good
We're
time.
talking about maybe going to Harrisburg. That could be a
Possibly,
fun
yeah.
show.
And I want to take a second to shout out our local card shop, Doc's Card Shops in Danville,
Mhm.
Pennsylvania.
Yep.
I don't know if you're anywhere near central Pennsylvania, but if you happen to be here, find that shop and go there. The guy, Bill, that runs the shop is like a fantastic guy. You know, I bought a Shohei Ohtani, the 1981 Topps looking 3-picture rookie card just because I collected 81 Topps. I remember, you know, the Fernando Valenzuelas and Mookie Wilson. He was the other big one at the time. He didn't really work out quite as well. But so I didn't have a nice Shohei Ohtani card. Not that it's expensive, but to me, $20 card is a nice little card to throw in your collection. And he also gave EP and I those Shohei Ohtani coins like for free. Like, what was that, $25 card coin?
Right.
And just gave them to us. So
like, well, I also bought a Shohei rookie from him and a Jalen Hurts rookie. So I mean, you know, not huge ones, like $10 and $20. So not huge, like just like you. But yeah, he's like he gave us. I'm sure he gave you a deal on the card too, and then also gave us the coins.
He tried to give EP an even better deal, and EP was like, "No, that's too cheap," and gave him more money. I'm like, "What is happening right now? This is not how you negotiate." What's your basement, EP?
Zones money. You know?
EP, what's your basement on that? That's what you should have asked him.
Oh yeah, but it was a good time, and we definitely need to do it again. I would say that we, you know, at the actual show, I think we might have had more fun yesterday than we had at the National last year.
Oh, we might have.
Yeah.
The National was just a little too big. Like
a little
like
overwhelming.
we were in awe and, you know, just trying to find stuff or, even be able to look at stuff at a table.
It's
was
just sensory
difficult.
overload.
You're overwhelmed by everything.
Sensory overload there.
So, yeah, but that was a good time. But let's move this along. Apparently, Card Collector 2 was at the rookie premiere for the NFL, and he's reporting, I don't know, this hasn't been confirmed by Fanatics or Panini or anybody yet, but he's reporting that the 3 of the top 4 quarterbacks picked, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Will Levis, were not signing any autographs for Panini at the rookie premiere event. Don't know if this is true or not, but we've heard a lot of talk about Fanatics potentially signing a lot of the rookies, like Victor Wembanyama is another one. Like they had the photo shoot of him signing his cards, and Michael Rubin himself flew to France to be part of that.
That was a hilarious
signing.
Picture, by the way.
Yeah,
that was a hilarious picture.
It's like me standing next to EP. Like, yeah.
Damn it, you beat me to that one.
I know, that's why I jumped in really quick. But yeah, there's been a lot of talk about them signing exclusive deals. It isn't new. Upper Deck has done that too. They signed Ben Simmons in 2016 and Darius Garland, I think
the famous ones,
2019.
LeBron and Tiger and Jordan, right?
But I'm talking like recently, like since they don't make NBA cards, but they still sign people. So, I mean, what if this is true? What kind of an impact do you think it'll have on football cards this year?
So we talked a couple of weeks ago about how cheap Prism football was. I think we talked about basketball too, compared to previous years. Cheap relative term, right? And I said, well, next year it's going to be double whatever this price is. Without the autos in there, people still chase the color though. So I think that they're still going to be in the set. So it's not going to be as dramatic as it could be. It seems in some cases people prefer the color over the autos. I've never understood that, by the way. I and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but it seems like a lot of people prefer the colors.
Well, you see it with the 101 too. The regular 101 with no auto typically sells for quite a bit more.
Yeah. And so that's baffling to me. But the sets that I think this will really hurt though are those high-end National Treasures, Flawless, Immaculate. Those are an autograph-centric set. So it's cool that you can have Bryce Young's SEC patch 101, but to not have it autographed, that I think that's going to hurt that product more than it's going to hurt the Prisms and Selects out there.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head. Definitely. I mean, I feel like the Prism people are still going to be chasing the color. They still want to see all those different parallels, but like stuff like Chronicles and the some of the it's obviously the high end stuff, but also Chronicles. Like people like me who like to build sets are still going to get Chronicles because of how cool it is. Or some Chronicles, but maybe not try to put the whole set together. But I mean, some of the other stuff that has autos as the chase, like it's probably going to hurt a lot of product from Panini, I'm guessing.
Yeah, like you guys said, I agree too. The high end stuff is really like the breaking stuff. Although,
the breaking, that's a good point. About
apparently, though, I'm not huge into the basketball market, but like I did hear, it might have been Neo or somebody that was saying that the 2019, I believe, Darius Garland, whenever his patch card was in National Treasures or whatever it was, is a pretty sought after card, even though it doesn't have an autograph. So,
well, the same thing with the triple logo man. I mean, the LeBron triple logo man's not autographed. So, I mean, there are
potentially maybe the uniqueness of that card might actually add value. I think maybe they made, I believe the story was they actually used a game used patch on his card because they couldn't get an autograph.
Oh my God.
But I mean,
holy shit.
But the other ones aren't. So, it did like drive a little interest. I don't think it makes any difference really on the lower end product. Yeah, it would be nice to have them in there and to be able to pull the autograph. But if you're pulling a colored card out of 25 out of 99, you're still going to be happy. That's pretty much what the collectors are chasing more so than the auto. I don't usually talk too badly about Fanatics on here. Don't want to lose my sponsorship, but I'm going to say something right here that's a little critical. I don't really understand at the end of the day what the end game is for this. I'm I'm assuming that they're thinking it's going to hurt Panini, and I don't know, somehow force them to a sale, lower their value. They're not going to go out of business. They're still going to sell a ton of stuff. I kind of feel like at the end of the day, the only thing you're really doing is hurting the collector by signing an exclusive deal for players that you can't make cards of. I don't know. Like we talked about unlicensed stuff a little bit last week I, is this really going to help sell your unlicensed stuff to the point where it's worth it financially? Is it going to hurt Panini to the point where it makes any difference financially for them? Like at the end of the day, I feel like the collectors lose out.
Yeah, because you're not going to have autographed rookie cards of Bryce Young in his, what is he, a Panther, in his Panthers uniform. I mean, and people, EP and I talk about this quite a bit. I mean, a lot of people just don't like unlicensed and college stuff. So, you're going to have these rookie cards that aren't, they're not autographed. Or are they going to do probably Alabama cards again? Like they already have Alabama first Bowman of Bryce Young, I believe. And so, yeah, I agree, Mike. I mean, you take it out of one set, or you take it out of one company's hands, kind of. And if they could make Panthers cards, or if they could make Texans cards or whatever, okay, cool, whatever. You're hurting your competition. You're not really hurting the collector. In this case, it's who knows if it actually will hurt the competition, maybe a little bit, but it's definitely not gonna help the collector. The collector is really missing out on something that, again, this is his rookie card, Bryce Young's rookie card, and CJ Stroud's rookie cards. I mean, people want to see them in their pro uniforms.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. The thought of not having an autographed rookie, like the rookie card itself, like with the shield and everything like that, like that's a big deal. And I don't think Topps can, because of the NFLPA deal, they probably can't even produce like a Topps Now type card, because there's no way they can do it. They can't put their likeness on there because of the Players Association agreement. So yeah, that's pretty wild.
I mean, don't take it the wrong way, Michael Rubin. I still love Fanatics and still keep the money flowing here. But one of the other little tidbits I saw that came out, it wasn't the Card Collector 2 thing, but I read an article about the Rookie Premier. If you collect defensive players, be prepared for a lot of redemption cards, because apparently out of the 45 or 50 players or however many they invited, exactly 3 were defensive players.
Wow.
So I applaud that they're going to have autographed cards of the offensive players, skill players, but with all the defensive players that were taken early in the draft, I was really kind of shocked that only 3 of them were invited there. So only 3 were signing. Now, maybe they're sending cards to some of the others. Maybe it won't be as bad, but we know if you send cards, you have to wait till they send them back. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. So I do fear there may be a lot of redemption cards for those first round defensive players, if you collect them.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Parsons proved that. I mean, his cards are still selling pretty well.
Yeah.
Like he proved that
Sauce
people
Gardner.
still care. And Sauce Gardner, yeah. I mean, there is a market out there for defensive players, and there are a lot of people. There are probably people, collectors, that is their main focus is defensive players. You know what I mean? Or maybe just defensive back or something like that. And they're not going to have those. You have to wait for the redemptions, which who knows if the card will ever show up, let alone 2 months from now, 3 months from now.
There's actually a pit
2
player
years from now,
right,
6 years from now, you might end up getting points that you can send to Joe for this Savage.
or this.
No, that's worth more than Panini
that's a
points.
million Panini points. Yeah, there's actually a pit defensive player that won the first round, Cansey, who I would probably collect. I don't know if he was one of the 3 players, but yeah, and this is another thing that you brought up breaking about one of the other topics. I mean, this is similar to that, because like I don't know how many people collect defensive players. I'm sure there are, but when you watch a break, there's a lot, like Sauce Gardner, Micah Parsons. There's a lot of those big booms that breakers give over defensive players. I mean, so that's just another thing that you're not going to have there to do. And I think the problem is the hobby just doesn't collect pretty much anything but quarterbacks. But beyond that, it's like quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, maybe a tight end here and there, and they just don't pay attention to defensive players. And whoever invited these folks to the premiere, maybe they're just reading the room a little bit and saying, well, why do we need to force ourselves to have defensive players come in when we know all the people are going to care if they have in-hand autographs of the skill position players and the quarterbacks?
Yeah.
I want to know, just one quick aside, if anybody has 1 million Panini points, and or if you just hoarding Panini points, like I want to hear about that, why you're doing it, and how many, what the number is. Like I want to hear some big numbers from anybody that
trying to get that Tom Savage card.
Right.
Yeah, I have one left.
Oh, all right. Well, move along a little bit here, Joe. Something you brought up this week, our old buddy US Sports Cards on Twitter. He has been posting his comp busting sales on eBay. He's been taking one card a day and listing it well below comps, and surprise, surprise, selling it. I know you brought up the fact, just wondering if he was going, and shout out, he's a viewer of the podcast, and hi,
hey, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up, man?
But it brings up a good discussion. You were wondering if he was going to be getting some hate from people because he's comp busting. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, we've talked about this. I forget what card it was, EP, that you had pulled from something. It might have been from Topps Series 1, but you had listed, and someone listed one well below what the other ones were going for, and it reset the comp. Which, if you're trying to sell a card at comps, you're not trying to be greedy about it. You're trying to sell a card at comps, and then someone comes in at half off. Now the comp has been reset, and you see this, and people are saying, oh, why is the card market going down? I mean, some of this stuff, because people just want the money quick. You see, a fixed price of $300 on a card that had been consistently going for $500, or even lower than that, $30 for a card that's been going consistently for $50. That just resets the comp, and now everything's starting to go down. And while I like the idea, and if US Sports Cards is making money on it, that's great. We do love him. He's a great viewer, and he's a great hang on Twitter. But if you're doing that, you're gonna start probably pissing some people off who not even just trying to sell their cards, but want to know their cards are worth a certain point. Because again, a card is worth what someone's willing to pay for it. And if you're resetting the comp so low, now it's hurting something in my collection that now I look at it, I'm like, I paid $50 for that card, and now really it's only worth $30 because someone just reset the market.
I can't remember. Sense. I can't remember the total amount. I think it was like a $50 card he sold for 40 or something like that. Like he's only going down 50 for 30. So I mean, like $20 is, I mean, that's a pretty big jump on a $50 card.
So 40% discount, right?
Right. But the person that sells on eBay and has, like, I offer pretty good deals, and because I'm trying to sell cards, but I'm not sure if I'd go that low with it. But I understand where he's coming from, trying to move cards. And I think one of the more important things here is, like, people need to look at the comps. Like, don't just look at the last comp. Like, that is never the actual comp. Don't go by that, because you never know if some
people
way
think
overpaid.
That's the problem. Some people do just look at that last comp.
Yeah. No way. Like I feel like that you got to look at the last like 3 or 4 sales of that card before you can really see what the card's worth.
That's really the issue here. Like, it goes back to what is a comp. So, I feel like as a seller, if I'm trying to decide what fair market value for a card I want to sell, if that's what I want to sell it at, I would look. If I would see a sale of $30 on a fixed sale, I would consider that an outlier. If it's a $50 card, if I saw somebody got $80 for it on a fixed sale, like, I would throw that one out too. I think this is a realistic, logical way to look at it. And when you talk about realistic and logical in this hobby, I know that a lot of people aren't doing it that way. But as a seller, I'm sure you're the same way, EP. Like, you can tell, because those sales are almost always either like a fixed sale, a fixed price that, like somebody who's selling something for cheaper on a fixed price, somebody gets a good deal, it shouldn't reset a comp. It's just a good deal. Like if you have
I think we're all in agreement on that. I think
if you
we're
have
using
5
our
cards
we
that
can use
sold
our
for
brains, right?
$50, one sold for 30. And I sell a lot of stuff under comps too. When I'm listing, maybe not so much, but depends on what you have into it as a seller. If you have a card, maybe he has $5 in that card and he wants to make $25 profit like that. And like, nothing wrong with doing that. I do understand though, some people will think it is, and some people might get mad at you, but I think
I've seen this on Twitter every so often where someone would show a message that they got from another seller bitching at them about about selling a card so much less than they do. I mean, we're all smart enough people, we get it, but if you're trying to buy that card, someone's scrolling to find the cheapest comp. Like, and they'll say, hey, look at this one that sold a month ago for half of what you're offering it. And they're like, well, what about the last 3 sales? Oh, but what about this one? Like, so that was my kind of concern. I was wondering, I mean, and I'm sure he would let us know if he has gotten any other sellers. When you're talking about $30 to $40 to $50 cards, I don't think you're going to get so much hate. But if you're talking about hundreds of dollars in cards, at that point, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little bit more. There was a little bit more vitriol about it.
Yeah, I didn't do any of the research into the card itself, but maybe it's a card too where everybody has it overpriced, and maybe the price that he sold it at is the right. Maybe none of it sold for like a year, and his price is actually the right price too. So I mean, there's that scenario it could possibly be too.
Yeah,
and I mean, we've all like it. If you pull a good card out of a pack, like you say you got a couple packs or you got one box of something like a blaster, and you pull a $700 card. If you paid $30 for that box and you could sell it for $600 and move it right away, like I'm all in on that. Like I don't feel like you have to worry about what the market is. Like sell your cars for whatever you want to sell them for. People will buy them if they want. They will buy them at a higher price if they want. Like I do feel there has to be some kind of logic out there for some people, not all of them, but a good majority, knowing that, if one card was a little cheaper, maybe they all aren't that way. I don't know. But that's probably wishful thinking.
And it's more
the people that show the one comp. Yeah.
Right.
I think people believe that, but they're not using that as their evidence. Yeah. Like they're going to use whatever they can use to get a card cheaper. And I mean, at the end of the day, the people that are the maddest about it, I'm guessing, are the ones who are into a $500 card for $1,000. You know what I mean? Probably, like those are the ones that are would be the most pissed about it. But hey, that's on them for buying high and selling low, I guess.
Absolutely. All right. Saw this neat little story here. There is a documentary filmmaker named Mark Evans, as Mark with a Q, in case you were wondering.
Pass.
M-A-R-Q. Nobody? No. The only Mark I've ever seen with a Q, but his name is Mark Evans, and he's doing a documentary film called The Diamond King. This is awesome. Is about the artist Dick Perez that did the Donruss Diamond Kings card. Cool. Started in 1982 and did it for 15 years. I mean, it sounds fantastic. It's supposed to come out in 2024, and I'm honestly really excited to watch this. They're supposed to have like a somewhat famous baseball name or something narrate the documentary. They're not giving that up or anything, and it's supposed to have interviews of like players past and present that about this kind of stuff and card collecting in general. There is a Kickstarter for it, which I'll put the link in the description of the video below, because it's pretty cool. If you contribute $100 toward the Kickstarter, you'll get a set of, I think it's up to 40 some cards right now that he's doing original artwork for. I think it's called Diamond Immortals, and they're going to be numbered to 499. So the first 499 people that contribute $100 toward it will get that set of cards. And each level they're adding other cards to it. And they have a Aaron Judge print that everybody who contributes will be entered into a drawing to get. Just seems like a great project.
How much for a producer credit? How much for a producer credit?
I don't know that they have that level. They do have some higher levels where you get like an individual like custom made print, but
right. I think some of those are already sold out though too. Like there's some that are. Yeah, I mean, I love this. Like we've talked about before, like Diamond Kings, like 1990 Donruss is what got me into it, and so into collecting for the most part. And so the Diamond Kings in there, where I always loved them, like the Provisions, any kind of art card, but the Diamond Kings was like the standard, the standard kind of card. And I've heard a couple interviews with him talking about this movie, and Mark Evans was part of the interviews, and it sounds amazing. Like he told one story on, I think it was Dr. Beckett's podcast, about how Mickey Mantle was complaining, saying that his one of his drawings didn't look like him or something like that. And so he sent then Dick Perez said, this is the photo that I use. Like he specifically makes sure he doesn't like try to copy any photos, but this is the photo I use to kind of you like for your face. And there was like some like back. I'm pretty sure it was Mickey Mantle, but like some back and forth between the two.
Sounds like something Mickey Mantle would have.
Yeah. So I mean, so I'm guessing there's going to be tons of stuff like that in there. I can't wait to see it, and I'm probably gonna get one of those sets. I think I'm gonna
spend some of that Drew Jones money, brother.
I think it's a great project to contribute to, and you get that set out of it. I think that'll be a unique collectible to have. And like anybody our age, like Diamond Kings, come on,
right?
Like I loved the ones from the 80s and everything. The filmmaker himself, the 1990 Donruss, like you said, EP was like what drew him into it. I guess he was recently with his child looking through the old cards and saw that, and that was what kind of spurred him to do this. But like, you remember 92 Diamond Kings when they made them a little, little more
oil on them. They were
fancier. They were an insert, a little harder to get. Like just fantastic times. And I think there are a lot of collectors out there our age that really will be interested in this. And hopefully if you're watching and you want to contribute toward the Kickstarter, like I said, I'll put the link down in the description, and should be pretty awesome to get that set.
I bet you his name is Marquez and he goes by Mark.
When you're talking about iconic people in the hobby, like Dick Perez is up there, right? Like he is absolutely near the top. So,
and I think it's cool too, like to honor some of these people. There's so many people that have contributed so much to this hobby that really aren't that well known in the hobby itself, especially with newer collectors. Like it would be cool to celebrate the history of some of these people a little bit more. And I think this project will just be fantastic. And I'm excited to see it. I think even at like the $20 level, you get to see like an early online screening of it. So yeah, maybe when it comes out, if we're still doing this podcast, we're all here. Maybe we'll have a viewing party. Yeah, that'd be fantastic, right? All right. Oh, this next little story, not really a story, but did you see that Bowman Sapphire this week came out, EP?
I did see that.
Were you interested in any of that?
No? I mean, interested, yeah, but not enough to be on the website trying to get some. What's up? Tell me.
The thing that bothered me a little bit was Topps offered it at a Dutch auction. One of the hopes I think that so many of us collectors had were maybe when Fanatics and Topps takes over everything, the Dutch auction would be over with. But no, apparently they're jumping into it too. I was so disappointed. Like I was not going to buy this product. Like this isn't anything I considered. But when I saw they were releasing it at a Dutch auction, it just made my heart sink. I'm like, you know how much I love Fanatics, and here's a second thing. They're just not doing it right. Don't do it that way, right? I hate the Dutch auction. I hate it.
Joe, I mean, I can't believe this. Mike is crapping all over.
I know. We're gonna lose. We're gonna lose all that sponsorship cash. We've been
gonna be wearing a Panini hat next week. I hate Panini for doing it too, though.
Right. I was gonna say it's not like Panini stopped doing that. They just did one this week for something. I forget what it was.
Wearing a Brian Gray Superman t-shirt.
This is just a company seeing another company doing this and thinking that's so smart to do, even though we don't like it. I mean, like,
I'm wondering
it's been
some of the
working for them,
people
so.
that they hired from Panini. I wonder if any of them were responsible for Dutch auctions and brought that idea over with them. I
That's
mean,
a fair point.
Yeah.
like it's just bad for the hobby, and it's because how bad do you feel if you really want a product and you're like waiting, and you're like, okay, I'm going to buy this, and then it drops $800 less than that, or the reverse of that, you're waiting, and then you don't get it, and then you're getting gouged on the secondary market for it. It's just like, I don't know why. Just put a effing price
They know what
on
the
your
price should
product
be.
and sell it.
They know what the price should be.
Know
Just
what it
yeah.
should be.
Right.
Just put it on the product. Like
They've been
it-
able to sell it every other year they've sold it
right.
at a price, right?
Like that's just so ridiculous to me. And then the one thing that Fanatics was saying that they wanted to do was have consumers get more direct access to products, and like doing it this way is not the way to do it. Just put it on your site, put it at a price, and then just let people buy it. You should know what it costs for you to sell it. That's the problem though. No company nowadays thinks about how much it costs to sell and then make a profit on top of that. They're like, well, we want to make what we would have made for profit, plus we want to make what the secondary market made for profit. And it's another thing that's just screwing the collector, either out of money or the ability to get something when there's a big, race to get it.
You're not going to 10x the hobby by doing this. You're going to 10x your wallet, like
right.
your profits like that.
That's exactly what I was going to add. You're not going to grow the hobby by trying to sell your products direct at market price. Like part of the reason like people aren't buying wax and ripping it like they used to is because of the fact that it costs so much. Because like, could you imagine like if every company just all of a sudden decided to price their product at market price? Like, what kind of world? Like, you have your costs, you know what you want your markup to be, make your money the normal way. Like, don't try to take the secondary market. That's part of the collector's side of it. Like, it's for the people who want to take a chance and buy a lot more of a product to see if it goes up. Like they want to rip a bunch of product, sell it at a damn price, and don't try to go, oh, well, other people might make money on this, so why don't we do it? Like that's why we hate Panini, why we don't buy their stuff, their boxes to rip open, because they cost so much. Like, and I do hate that, oh, I have to decide if I want to buy it here, or if I'm good. Like, I hate the whole process, regardless of what the cost is. Like, you're not being fair to your collectors if, like, they have to try to decide when to buy it, and other people are getting the same product from the same person at the same time for a different price. Like, it's not a way to build the hobby, and it's like you're gonna bring new collectors in, and they're gonna see that, they're gonna go. They're not gonna stay.
Right.
So
I use the example. Score was like $500 a box 2 years ago. Like, and you're just not gonna build a hobby by charging those prices, and you're not gonna, like. By the way, Dutch auction just I don't want to try and figure that out. If I'm just getting into the hobby and I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing here? I'm waiting to see if this price goes down. It would be right. Like,
so they're not
going to
while
to even figure it out myself when I got back in. I'm like, wait, I have to like play a game of chicken to see if I can get this box to open up, or I pay way more than I should pay for it. I mean, it's just,
imagine if you're a new collector and you try this thing that you don't really understand, and you end up buying it, and then it sells for like $200 a box less.
Right.
Like, you're going to be pissed.
You're never going to buy another box of cards.
You're not going to ever do that again.
Yeah.
So I just think they have it all wrong. You can't grow the hobby by trying to use the market value to make more profit for your $30 billion company. Come on.
They're already overproducing. You're already going to make extra money doing that. And why are you also now doing this? Like, it just seems greedy. Very, very greedy.
You know how much you can make selling that product. The regular product was very hot. that product's going to be even more so.
Mhm.
You're going to make a ton of money just selling it at a set price anyway. You don't need to play the games that make a lot of people mad. Like there were a lot of people I saw on Twitter that were like, really? That's what they're doing? Why? Like, and I don't know if it ended up selling out or if they pulled it or what. Like you never do know with that, but people weren't happy about it. So maybe listen, Michael, let's talk. Don't do it. Don't do it. People don't want it. Trust me. I know what I'm talking about. You listen to me about everything else. Listen to me again. One more time. So yeah.
Well,
hopefully they'll change their mind.
We reference the first pod all the time where we basically talk about Fanatics for an hour, and I think I said
my favorite podcast ever.
It's one of my favorite. I think I said back then when Ruben said he wants to 10x the hobby, I'm like, does he mean money or people? Like this makes me think it's money and a little less about people. If I can gouge the people I have that are not going to go anywhere, I don't need to grow the hobby. I mean, he's done other things that seemingly he's trying to actually expand the base of it. But if you're going to expand the base and gouge people at the same time, that's not cool.
No, not at all. Wow. Okay, well, one last topic I wanted to bring up this week. I saw on Twitter this week somebody got I believe, was it a Trevor Lawrence? It was a die cut back from PSA. And the card was
Trevor
like
Lawrence or Joe Burrow. It was one of those.
Was one of the but it was like totally cockeyed in the case. And I mean, I'm sure that happens, but I was reading the comments and stuff.
Never read the comments.
All the people that are just like, oh, just like tap it back. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like that card in that case, like, first of all, it should never move. PSA, come on. You're grading all these cards, making all this money. You can figure out a way to keep the die cut cards from moving, or no card should move around in the case. And
it's not just die cut either.
Too many. Yeah,
I
had those rock cards that I graded, and most of them moved around.
90
like,
MU.
90 you need to find a better way to make sure that doesn't happen. But it got me thinking, like you would damage the card if you're banging it to get it to go back to where it's supposed to be in the case. But people don't care, right? Because it already has the grade on it. So you have a Gem Mint 10, you can bang that around as much as you want, do whatever you want to the corners because it's not secured in the case, but it's always a 10, right? Because you don't care about the card. We're back to that. But it really made me think, like, I know how many cards I have that move around. Just like how many cards after they're graded do you think drop a level because of the damage they might do moving around in that case?
Okay, so we've gone almost an hour without me shitting on Jeff Wilson. So let me stop and shit on Jeff Wilson really quick.
Okay,
so he did a video. This was, I think I sent you guys this video. This was a while ago. It was one of the companies that he was investing in. He was at a card show, and it was one of those companies that takes, I'll just use this, takes this PSA slab and then puts like almost like a bumper, a rubber bumper on it, right? And it's like, you could throw this slab across the room and it won't damage the slab. And he took a Derek Jeter rookie in a PSA slab, put one of those bumpers on and chucked it across and it's hitting like the concrete floor. And they're like, look, there's nothing wrong with the slab. I'm like, look at the fucking card. What? I don't care what the slab looks like after you chuck it across the room. Look at the card. But that just proves the point. No one cares about the card once it's in the slab. Once it's a 10, it's a 10 forever. They don't care. So as long as the slab doesn't get cracked, is probably what they're thinking, then I don't have to worry about it. Because once it's slab is cracked, if you send it in, I think they do. Like they're not just going to re-slab it the same.
Oh, really? I thought they would.
I know CGC doesn't with their comic books. They do kind of regrade the comic books. I don't know about cards, so that is a good question. What do they do if they see a card that is much below what it originally was? If they send it back, if there's like a cracked slab, or if you want to, put a new, the new slab or new label on it, like, but still, at the end of the day, unless something like that is a thing, they don't care. like they want that 10, and once it's in there, it doesn't matter what the card looks like. It's so infuriating.
I know the comments are crazy. Just like just bang it and like move it back. I'm like, would you like? I would never recommend to anybody to just bang their graded card case. Like, but everybody was saying it. Like everybody, it blew my mind
because they're okay with it. Like it's
Yeah.
one of those things that it's just it's fine. It's just PSA. It's what they do. Everything's fine. Just bang it until it comes into the right order or right.
I have
place.
a Brady gold medallion. I told you guys when we were talking about this. I have a Brady gold medallion die cut rookie card, and it's high up. There's like this much gap between the bottom of the card and the bottom of the slab, and it's up almost all the way towards the top of because that one's actually in a sleeve, just like this die cut is. It's in a sleeve. I'm not touching it. I'm not banging the card. I'm like, are you nuts? I'll just let it there. It's not as annoying as it could be. At least it's not cockeyed like that die cut was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like beyond the corner wear potential and all those other things, if you're slapping it on a piece of plastic, like I've always wondered that about PSA or any grading company. We're crapping on them specifically, but like with the exception of BGS, most grading companies don't put a sleeve in most of their slabs.
Mhm.
I've always wondered how like a chrome card in a hard plastic slab that moves
Mhm.
around, how that does not pick up a ton of scratches, that to the point where if you cracked it open and resent it back in and the same grader looked at it, is it still going to get whatever grade it was, because it's incurring damage, you would think, when it's in that slab, even just from normal moving it around and wear and tear.
Yeah, definitely. That's a concern. One of the things that I saw, and I think I texted you guys about this. I watched a break from a channel, like a smaller channel like ours. They only had like 17 views on this review. It was from a couple months ago, but it was vintage, all vintage. And I was like, oh, I'll do it. And he had some really cool old stuff in there, including a T206 card from his collection. But that thing, like for the smaller tobacco cards, like they'll put extra frosting around, so it's got like a smaller window. But even that was pushed up like halfway into the frosting. And when he pulled it up, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like it was ridiculous how off it was. Like, and I don't know what would happen to that card during shipping to let that happen, unless that I thought that frosting was tighter packed, and that would make it keep it safe. And there's no way it could go up through there. So like I was blown away because it just blew my mind. Like I don't understand how it could get up into that space.
Well, and someone mentioned for that Lawrence or Burrow, whatever it was, that die cut we were talking about. Oh, it probably happened during shipping, and I'm like, wait, there's no
sure?
way.
Yeah.
Like is that possible? I mean, and someone made the comment, how did this card get past QA1 and QA2 to make its way to shipping if that was the case, if it was done at PSA? And I'm like, shit gets through QA1 and QA2 all the time at PSA.
All the time, yeah.
Like, because they're not really even looking at the cards either. They're looking at the accuracy of the label, and they're making sure the case isn't cracked. They don't care what the card looks like in it. Like they're not really reviewing.
Apparently, neither do a lot of the collectors. So.
Right.
I mean, nothing new. We end up talking about a lot of the same stuff, like from all these different angles, but they're the same thing. Like there are a couple. We should make up a list of these core hobby things that we can't change at some point, because a lot of it comes down to that. Like you care about the grade, you don't care about like. I still feel like PSA has to do, like there are a lot of die cut cards. They're not a new thing. They've been around since the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Yeah.
Do better. Like have a way to put these in better. I don't know. Like you're a multi-million-dollar company. You're making a ton of money off this. I feel like you could if you really cared about it, right?
Or if the collectors cared about it, you know what I mean? Like if everybody was like, if people were
right.
actually upset about it, they'd make a solution. I mean,
another one of those core hobby things. The collectors don't care enough to make the manufacturer change it.
Right.
We talk about
as long as it says a 10, we're good.
Oh my. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap things up there this week. Anything else? Anybody have?
No.
Final closing thoughts? Nothing.
Nope, I got nothing.
I mean, that card is fantastic, though. Look at that. That is
That's so good, dude. That's so good, dude.
And I think
Especially
it's a
the
PSA
Brock
10.
cured variation.
Yeah, yep.
I love because the color match is just perfect. I was looking for this one, yeah, for sure. This is
Such a
this is a
great
good
card.
one. Thank
Wow.
you, EP. I really appreciate
yeah.
that.
Yep.
You are a
What a great
saint.
guy.
Sweet little EP down there.
Sweet
All
little-
right,
sweet little
guys.
EP.
That's all we have for this week, and I will see you next week.
See you, boys.